private, secret town hall meeting with Generation Squeeze, Professor Paul Kershaw, who is a strong advocate. He calls it generational fairness, which is all the language that Trudeau uses all the time. They have now put out part of that secret town hall in a podcast, but they did not release the Q&A portion of the podcast. Now, Paul Kershaw, as I said, isn't just an advocate on this. He's someone that the Trudeau government has funded continually. Even the Public Health Agency of Canada funds this group for some reason that I don't understand. They're all about housing, and PHAC is funding them. Canada Mortgage and Housing is funding them. The government has funded Paul Kershaw to write a study on why there should be a home tax. And we know, I believe it was the 2019 election, there were a bunch of policy proposals put forward by various liberal constituency associations. And the number one, or one of the top ones, was a primary residence home tax. And the longer you kept your home, the smaller the tax would be. But if you sold it within 2 years, you might pay a 15% tax, and things like that. So they keep coming back to this idea, and then they say they're not going to do it. I think they're looking at it again. I think that Trudeau's language lines up with it, and this is something that would be incredibly unpopular.
Laurie, they have this culture war mentality. The Liberals have had this for the left does in general. And it's almost like they're trying to say, if you as a Canadian, you've worked hard, you saved, and you were able to buy a home in this country, and that's a millions of people going back 25, 30, 40 years. I think of even my own parents. You now are somehow put into this category as the elite, the super rich, because you own your home in Canada. Your home is your biggest asset, best equity you have, frankly. A lot of people are going to hang on to that and use that for retirement. Now these guys want to come in and put a tax on it because they think that you are somehow in this top 110% of income earners in this country. Grossly unfair. As Brian says, they've tried this many times before. It seems to always come back and bite them in the you-know-what. Something seems different this time, though, Laurie. I mean, Trudeau seems resolute in continuing to say we need the rich to pay their fair share. But this is, to me, a perfect opportunity for Poilievre and the Conservatives to, beat them away with it.
Well, yeah, to me, look, I think what we're seeing is that part of the Liberal strategy, whoever is their leader going to the next election, is to set off a culture war. They obviously tried to do that with the increase in the capital gains tax beyond $250,000. We all heard the finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, talk about this dystopian nightmare of rich people getting their health care by flying in airplanes. And
it's going to be Thunderdome if the Conservatives get elected.
Or Soylent Green, and that flopped spectacularly. It didn't work because while they wanted like rich people to come out and go, oh, this is terrible, they didn't get that. They got small business people saying that, look, we don't have pensions. When we sell our business, that's our pension. You're taking that away from us. Doctors, what are you doing? We're private. We're paid by the public system. We don't have a government pension. We have to rely on the capital gains from all the savings we've made. Farmers, what are you doing? Our family farm is so that totally blew up on them. But we have been hearing now. Look, why would they want to do principal residence? Because it's a cash cow. Mm-hmm. Every time you sell a home, you've got to pay a tax. A home that you paid for in after-tax dollars, and that you pay interest on when you get a mortgage, and now you want to tax that, and like the arrogance of these academics, right? I don't know about this guy, but I know about university professors. Oh, well, it's generational fairness and blah blah. Yeah, you're at a university, you got tenure, you got a pension, you got a good job. You don't have to worry about what your kids are going to inherit and all that stuff. And it's this meanness, that this, like, what is the dream? You know this better than anybody else. what is the dream of immigrants who come to this country? It is to build a life for them. It is to get a home, right? Like immigrant families, you'll have 3 generations in one home, right? So they can build up their resources, get a mortgage, use that mortgage to invest in a business. You know, incredibly successful people, and now you're saying to them, no, you have to pay. This idea that Canadians who played by the rules, came here or were from here, worked hard, saved their money.
That's right.
You know, delayed gratification, did all those things, put themselves in a good position where they're in a position to help others, where they're in a position that they disproportionately pay more taxes than others because we have a progressive income tax system that everybody agrees with. The more you make, the more proportionally you pay, right? So you played by all the rules. And now these elite,
Yeah.
they just come in and they go, oh, no, you've been very bad. You've been very selfish. You know, you have to go to heck. Just go to heck.
Well, that's the very polite way of saying it, Brian. But last word to you on this. Look, there are major public policy issues that are facing Canadians right now, not the least of which is housing and affordability and supply. And you know, I read some of the pushback that professor, when he put his notion out about this idea of a tax on your primary residence. You know, the pushback was pretty spectacular from Canadians. It's the kind of pushback that I would expect that the Trudeau Liberals will get and have gotten in the past when they floated this idea. But I come back to this notion of something feels different. There's a more resoluteness with Trudeau because he really needs something to latch on to. And it seems to be this culture where this us versus them, the rich versus the poor. I'm just wondering from your perspective, does that resonate? Will that resonate with Canadians on this particular issue?
Well, the hope with the budget where they started this culture and class war, the hope was that it would get Generation Z, millennials, younger people that are priced out of the housing market. And, you know, to a lot of folks in that category, yeah, if you do own your own home, you are the elite because prices are now so high, you'll never be able to afford a home unless mom and dad help you buy it or you win the lottery or something. So, they were hoping that the budget would swing those voters back into the Liberal fold. And it hasn't happened. I think that, you know, one poll, I believe it was Abacus, picked up a bit of movement, but in the last 1 or 2 Abacus data polls, young people are back where they were. They're mostly with the Conservatives or the NDP, and the Liberals are losing that vote. For them to double down on this, it would be complete generational warfare. It would be saying your parents and grandparents have the money, we're going to take it off of them and give it to you. And that would, you know, is that a winning strategy? I don't know. You know, on the capital gains tax, they're calling it generational fairness. And yet I know farm families where they want to, the older generation wants to retire. They're working with the younger generation. They want to pass the family farm on to them now that they've mastered how to run it. And it would cost them an extra $1 million in taxes to inherit the family farm off of their father. That makes zero sense. But that's what Trudeau has been hoping would get younger voters on side. I'm not sure it's going to work. I'm not sure anything's going to work, but I won't put it past them that they will try this proposal once again.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments.